The sky over Base 19 was always red. Smoke never cleared. It smelled like war, rust, and burned metal. Private Leo Gray stepped off the dropship and looked around. This was his first post on an alien-controlled base. He had been transferred from Earth's Alliance Army to a joint task force. He was told it was an honor. It didn't feel like one. The other soldiers looked strange gray skin, long arms, eyes like insects. Leo didn't know their language. He didn't need to. Their glares told him everything. He was not welcome. Human, follow, one said, clicking. His jaw. Leo obeyed. They led him through steel halls lit by green lights. Strange symbols covered the walls. He passed soldiers training, sparring, loading weapons. Then he heard a scream, not of pain, of rage. They turned a corner and entered a courtyard. Dozens of alien troops stood in a circle, shouting and laughing. In the center, chained to the ground, was her an alien girl. She looked like part beast, part warrior. Her skin was dark with patterned fur. Her arms were tied behind her back. A metal collar clamped her neck. Her tail flicked behind her in anger. Her face was bruised, one eye swollen, but her golden eyes still burned with defiance. She disobeyed, said one of the guards. She refused an order, so now she learns. A tall alien officer walked forward. In his hand, a whip charged with electricity. Leo felt sick. The officer raised the whip and struck. Crack. The girl didn't scream this time. She growled deep and low, like an animal, but there was pride in her eyes. She won't last long. The alien next to Leo chuckled. Another strike. Then another. Leo stepped forward, heart pounding. That's enough. The crowd turned. Silence fell. The officer stopped, whip raised midair. Did you speak, human? Leo swallowed hard. She's not a beast. She's one of us. You shouldn't treat her like this. The officer narrowed his glowing red eyes. She is a tool, a weapon. She obeys or bleeds. He turned back toward her, but Leo moved first. He stepped into the ring, grabbed the whip before he could fall. For a second, time froze. The girl looked up at him, confused, shocked. The officer hissed, "Touch her again, and you die." Leo didn't move. He looked down at the girl. Her arms trembled. She expected more pain. But instead, Leo knelt and held out his hand. "Come on," he whispered. "You don't deserve this." She stared at his hand for a long time. Everyone held their breath. Then slowly she reached out her chained claws and touched his palm. It was soft, small, but real. The crowd exploded in noise shouts, curses, warnings. Guards grabbed Leo, pulled him back. The girl was dragged across the ground, back toward her cage, but her eyes never left him, and neither did his. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. The bunks were hard. The air smelled like oil, but his mind was full of her. He had seen something in her eyes. Not a monster, not a slave. Someone broken, but not gone. He asked the guard outside his quarters, "What's her name?" The alien sneered. "We don't name beasts. She doesn't need one." Leo clenched his jaw. "She deserves one." No one answered. The next day, Leo returned to the courtyard. She was in a cage near the training field, knees tucked, head down. Her chains rattled as she breathed. He knelt by the bars. "Hey," he whispered. "It's me." She looked up. Her golden eyes met his again. He slid something between the bars, a protein bar. Small, but real food. She didn't take it. "I'm not here to trick you," he said. Still she didn't move. Only watched him. Quiet, unsure. Leo nodded. "All right. I'll leave it here." He stood and turned to go, but just before he walked away, He heard it. A soft, low voice. Why? He froze. Turned. She was staring at him, jaw trembling. Leo smiled gently. Because someone has to start treating you like a person. The next morning, Leo returned to the cage. He didn't know why he came again. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe curiosity. Maybe something more. She was sitting in the same corner, but this time her golden eyes opened when she heard his footsteps. Leo crouched near the bars again. He placed another protein bar in front of her. You didn't eat yesterday, he said softly. You need strength. She didn't move. He sighed. Do you understand me? She tilted her head. A small twitch. Then she growled. Low, not threatening. More like a warning. Leo smiled. I'll take that as a maybe. He stayed for a moment longer, then stood to leave. But then she crawled forward, just a little. Enough to sniff the food. Her claws trembled. Leo didn't speak. He just waited. Finally, she picked up the bar and took a small bite. It was her first meal in days. That night, rumors spread across the base. The human feeds the beast. Maybe he wants her as a pet. He'll get himself killed. But Leo didn't care. Next day, he brought water, then fruit, then a blanket. Each time she watched him, quiet, curious. She didn't speak again. But she no longer looked away. On the 5th day, a storm hit the base. Metal screamed in the wind. Lights flickered. Leo rushed to her cage. Rain poured in. Cold. Sharp. She sat in the corner, shivering. The blanket was soaked. He shouted at the guards, she freeze in there. They ignored him. So he ran into the storm himself, reached the cage. She growled again, louder this time, but not at him. At the wind. Leo pulled his jacket off and pushed it through the bars. Take it. She stared. Then, slowly, she took it, wrapped it around herself, and for the first time she didn't growl. The next morning, she wasn't in the cage. Leo panicked. Where is she? A commander barked. She's in the pit. Training. She disobeyed again. Leo ran. The pit was wide and filled with dust. Alien soldiers surrounded the edge, shouting commands. In the middle, she stood alone, bruised, breathing hard, one arm bleeding. She held a dull training blade. Her claws dug into the dirt. Across from her, a massive lizard creature. Fangs like spears. The training commander barked. Fight or be punished again. Leo jumped into the pit. She's injured. Stop. The crowd laughed. She must learn, said the trainer. Obey or suffer. Leo rushed to her side. She snarled at first reflex. Then she saw it was him. Her claws lowered. He stood between her and the beast. If you want to hurt her, go through me. The crowd fell silent. She stared at him, stunned. No one had ever stood beside her like that. Her lips parted. She whispered something in broken words. Why? You risk? Leo looked at her. Because you're not a monster. She looked down at his hand again. Just like the first time. He held it out. She stared, growled softly. But this time she didn't run. The crowd jeered. But the commander stopped the match. Remove her. And the human, too. Later, inside the medical bay, Leo cleaned her wounds. She sat on the floor, quiet, wrapped in a thermal blanket. She looked up at him, her eyes softer now. Name? She whispered. Leo paused. What? She pointed to herself. Name? He blinked, then smiled. You want a name? She nodded slowly. He thought for a moment. Sarah. It means fierce star in old Earth language. She said it softly, trying the word on her tongue. Sarah. She nodded. Sarah is good. Leo reached out. Nice to meet you, Sarah. She looked at his hand. Then slowly, gently placed her claws in his palm, and this time she didn't tremble. The base never truly slept. Engines hummed, boots marched, orders echoed, but in the supply bunker at the edge of Base 19, it was quiet. Too quiet. Leo sat on a crate, facing Sarah. She was eating, not fast like before, not desperate. Now she chewed, slowly watching him as she did. Leo handed her a small canteen. Here, water, clean. She took it and sniffed first, then drank. It had been almost a week since she'd spoken. But now she used words, soft, short. Why you help me? She asked again. Leo gave her a half smile. Because someone should have helped you a long time ago. Sarah looked down at her claws. I hurt people. Leo nodded. Maybe, but they hurt you first. She didn't reply. He watched her carefully. She still flinched at loud noises, still turned away if someone shouted in the halls. But around him, she sat taller, breathed easier. Later that night, Leo returned to his bunk. A soldier was waiting for him. Captain Drav, you've spent too much time with her, Drav said, voice sharp. She is unstable, dangerous. Leo folded his arms. She's alive. She's a tool, the captain snapped. And tools don't need kindness. Leo's eyes narrowed. She has a name. Her name is Sarah. Drav smiled coldly. Not for long. The next day, Leo couldn't find her. He searched the training yard, the med wing, even her old cage. Nothing. Finally, he found her in a metal chamber strapped to a table. Her wrists and ankles were bound, her mouth covered, wires connected to her neck. He rushed forward. What are you doing to her? A medic stepped in front. We're testing obedience levels. She's not a lab rat. Leo shouted. The medic shrugged. Orders from Captain Drav. She's property. Leo's fists clenched. Sarah's golden eyes locked on his through the mask. She didn't blink. She didn't cry. But she was afraid. Leo turned. Unstrap her. No. The medic laughed. And if I don't? Leo pulled out his ID card. Then I file a report to Earth Command and leak the video feed from this room. Let's see how long your career survives. The medic stared. And slowly stepped back. That night, Leo helped Sarah sit up in the hidden storeroom. He wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. She didn't speak. He placed a packet of soft food in her hands. Eat slowly. She looked down at it. Not broken? Leo looked at her, surprised. No, she blinked. They say beast obeys or breaks. Leo shook his head. Then they're scared of your strength. She looked at him again. You not scared? He leaned in. You growled at me the first time we met. She smiled. Barely. A twitch of the lips. He chuckled. But I didn't run. She looked down at her claws again. Then slowly, she extended one toward him. He didn't flinch. Sarah touched the side of his hand, not with force, but care, like a creature learning gentleness for the first time. I remember. Your hand, she whispered. The first one that didn't hurt. Leo swallowed the lump in his throat. And it never will. Just outside the room, shadows moved. Drav's voice whispered through a hidden communicator. Prepare her for transfer tomorrow. We'll remove the human. The next morning, the base was quiet. Too quiet. Leo felt it the moment he stepped into the hallway. Soldiers avoided his eyes. Conversation stopped when he passed. He rushed toward the training sector. Sarah. He whispered. Where are you? He found her on the drill field, but something was wrong. She stood straight, eyes blank, arms at her sides. And around her neck, a thick black collar with red lights blinking. His heart dropped. No, Captain Drav stood. Nearby, arms crossed. She's been fitted with a shock collar. he said calmly. It corrects disobedience. Leo marched up to him. You said she wouldn't be punished again. Drav smirked. She wasn't. She's being trained. Leo's fists clenched. She's not a weapon. She's not yours to protect. Drav said coldly, You're dismissed, Private. Leo looked at Sara. Her eyes were still open, but her expression was hollow. She didn't move. Didn't speak? He took a step forward. Sara, it's me, Leo. No reaction. Drav nodded too. A tech nearby. Test the caller. Level 1. A red button blinked. BZZT. Sara gasped. Her body jerked, but she stayed standing. Leo rushed forward. Stop. Drav raised a hand. She needs to learn. She belongs to us. Later, in the dark of a forgotten storeroom, Leo found her curled against a wall. The caller still blinked faintly. He sat beside her. Sara. I'm sorry. She didn't look up. He whispered. I'll get it off. I swear. Her voice came soft. If you break it, they kill you. He shook his head. Not if we leave. She looked at him finally. Leave? Leo nodded. There's an old maintenance shaft. I checked the map. If we time it right, we can disappear. Sara's claws gripped her knees. They say, I am danger. Leo leaned closer. You're only dangerous to those who keep hurting you. That night, Leo searched the tool lab. He found a plasma cutter small, silent. He slipped it into his coat. He returned to Sara's room and knelt behind her. This might hurt, he said. But I'm careful. She didn't flinch. As he worked, he noticed something strange. The collar wasn't just metal. It had symbols inside, alien runes glowing faintly. It wasn't just control. It was suppression. He whispered, They're locking your power. Sara's breath quickened. Her muscles tightened. Suddenly alarm rang. Someone had triggered a door sensor. Run, she said. No, Leo said, still cutting. Almost done. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Voices shouted, Now! She growled. He sliced the last lock. Clack. The collar fell. Sara collapsed forward, gasping. And then something happened. Her body pulsed with energy. Her fur shimmered. The markings along her arms glowed blue. Leo backed up slowly. Sara? She looked up. Her golden eyes were now burning orange. Her claws glowed. Her breath steamed. She was still Sara, but no longer trapped. I feel it, she whispered. My strength, it was never gone, just caged. The door burst open. Guards flooded in. Hands up. Sara stood between Leo and the soldiers. You want to hurt him? She growled. You'll go through me. The nearest guard stepped forward, weapon raised. Sara's claws flared, and in one move, she shattered his weapon. The others froze. Leo stared in shock. Sara, what are you? She looked at him, tears in her eyes, but her voice steady. I'm not a beast. I'm becoming who I was meant to be. Screams echoed across Base 19. Alarms flashed red. Security drones flew through the halls. Loudspeakers barked orders in 3 alien languages. Priority alert. Beastwoman loose. Human soldier with her. Use lethal force. Leo and Sara ran through the service tunnels, her claws clicking, his boots pounding behind her. Sara's body still shimmered with power. The symbols on her skin glowed, pulsing like fire under her fur. She looked back at him. You shouldn't have followed me. Leo shook his head. I didn't follow you. I chose you. They reached a sealed door at the tunnel's end. Leo tapped at the panel. Come on. Open. Sara placed her glowing palm against the lock. The door slid open. They slipped through just as 3 guards came into view behind them. Sara spun and slammed the door shut, just as blaster shots hit the steel. Leo gasped. Where are we now? Sarah looked up. A long chamber stretched before them. Old, dusty, lined with stasis pods and broken tech. She whispered, This was the flame chamber, where my kind were made into weapons. Leo stepped carefully. Made? Sarah nodded. We weren't born for war. We were built for balance. Then they changed us. She walked to a console. If I trigger this, I can shut down base security. Leo blinked. You can do that? Sarah smiled faintly. I remember more each second. Above them, in the command tower, Captain Drav watched the screen. She's awakening. Her flame power has returned. A soldier stepped forward. Shall we launch kill drones? Drav's eyes narrowed. No, we'll go down ourselves. Make an example. In the flame chamber, Sarah touched the console. Her fingers glowed. The console lit up with golden symbols. Suddenly, the entire base flickered, lights dying. Turrets powered down. Doors opened across the compound. Leo looked around. What did? You do? I broke their grip, Sarah said. Others like me are waking. In distant parts of the base, growls echoed. More beast creatures, half asleep, half alive, opened their eyes. Some ran, some roared. But none obeyed Dot. Then the main door of the chamber exploded inward. Drav entered with 6 elite guards behind him. He raised his weapon. You're done. Sarah stepped forward. No, Captain, you are. Drav scoffed. You were a beast on a leash. I fed you, trained you. You tortured me, Sarah said calmly. And now I remember everything. He fired. Sarah deflected it with her claws. The bolt bounced into the ceiling. 2 guards rushed her. She spun a blur of glowing fury. Her claws sliced through armor like paper. Sparks flew. Drav aimed at Leo. But before he could fire, Sarah tackled him. Leo shouted, Don't kill him. Sarah held Drav to the ground, her claws at his throat. Why? Leo stepped closer. Because if we kill him, we prove we're like them. But we're not. Sarah looked into Drav's terrified eyes. Then she stood up and turned away. You're no longer captain here, she said. You're just a coward with a gun. Later, in the central hall, Sarah stood in front of the soldiers, beast kind and humans alike. Leo stood beside her. She raised her voice. No more cages, no more collars. We're not weapons. We're living beings. Silence. Then one by one others stepped forward. A beastman dropped his rifle. A human soldier removed his helmet and nodded. The crowd began to grow. A mutiny had started. And it wasn't just rebellion. It was freedom. Sarah looked at Leo. I don't belong in chains, she said. He nodded. You never did? She took his hand in front of them all, proud, unshaken, and the base watched, as the so-called beast woman chose her human not as a master, but as an equal. The smoke had cleared. Base 19 was no longer under command control. Its gates stood open, its weapons offline. Many alien officers had fled. Some stayed, but only to surrender. In the center of the courtyard, Sarah stood tall, wind brushing her fur, her glowing claws resting quietly by her sides. Beside her, Leo watched the sky. I sent the message, he said. Earth will come. Maybe others too. Sarah's golden eyes rose. They'll bring more callers. Leo looked at her. Not if we tell the truth first. The flame-born were free. Now 23 of them. Some still wore broken chains. Some still didn't. Speak. But all of them followed Sarah. She was no longer just one of them. She was their voice. That evening, Sarah sat alone by the cliffs, staring at the moons. Leo walked up behind her. You okay? She didn't turn. You changed me. Leo sat beside her. No, you were always strong. She shook her head slowly. Before you, I only knew fear. I thought strength was pain. I thought freedom was impossible. Leo's voice softened. And now? Sarah looked at her open hands. Now I feel something new. She turned to him. Peace. A soft alarm sounded from Leo's communicator. He opened it. A ship, Earth. Alliance was entering the atmosphere. Rescue. He stood and offered Sarah his hand again. Come with me. She hesitated. What if they hate what I am? She asked. Leo smiled. Then we'll show them who you are. The rescue ship landed. In a blast of dust and light, soldiers stepped out cautious, unsure. Sarah walked down the hill first. Every eye turned to her. Some hands reached for weapons. Then Leo stepped beside her and raised his voice. She was beaten, chained, called a beast, but she protected. Your soldier. She stopped a war. She freed her kind. He turned to Sarah, and when she had every reason to destroy, she chose compassion. The Earth officer nodded slowly. What's her name? Leo looked at her with pride. Sarah. That night, the two of them stood in the ship bay, watching the stars outside the glass. Sarah whispered, What happens? Now? Leo held her hand. Whatever we want. She looked down at their fingers, human and clawed, warm and calloused, wrapped together. And for the first time in her life, she smiled, not because she was told to, not because she survived, but because someone finally chose her. And this time, she chose back. The end.